Welcome to livzenastrology. My name is Ella Ivy. I'm your host for livzenastrology, and I'm very excited and relieved about this post-eclipse energy that we have all just stepped out of. And we're still in the middle of it. So don't get me wrong. We're still in the middle of navigating this current, but I just hope that this eclipse energy treated you well, that you were able to receive all the gifts that you've left for yourself, that we've set up for ourselves as a collective. And I'm going to read from my notes because I'm going to, Mercury's in retrograde right now. So it's really asking me to slow down. That was something that came in really strong for this post-eclipse, the most intense part of the portal journey was as we were able to witness in the sky, this movement. And what I was able to see in my mind's eye, just so you know, I did spend time outdoors, but I was told to, as very ungrounded. It was kind of like I was going at warp speed through my meditation. I got to spend most of the day in meditation, contemplation. I started off with yoga. I ate very light. I've just been eating a lot of grapes. Just fresh fruits and vegetables. I have been drinking coffee, but I've been drinking mushroom coffee with some Chinese mushrooms, some reishi, what else? Some lion's mane, also putting some cacao with it, right? So using very precise alchemy, knowing that this is the vessel going through this hyperdimensional space. This is what I was witnessing yesterday. For those of you that are familiar with Star Trek, sometimes they'd get into going to warp speed, right? So they were getting ready to, their ship, their vessel was getting ready to traverse parts of the galaxy to go light years towards another part of the galaxy, right? To explore, to be a part of. And that's exactly what I felt yesterday. I felt like I was in this mothership, the spaceship, which is my body. And we went hyperdimensional. We went hyper warp speed. And going faster through these cosmologies, through these wormholes, if you will, it was reflecting to me to slow down, to be very precise with my movements, very precise with the alchemy that I was imbibing with, what I was watching on television. I don't have television, but my me streaming stuff, my iPad. That's all I really have now. I don't have television, but. So I was told just to really be very precise with what I imbibed with, the energy that I was processing, who I was downloading, what I was consuming with. I was very grounded most of the day. I was outside in nature. It's very sunny here in Florida where I'm staying. So just making sure that I had that nice balance of being in the sun, but also being in the shadow. And that's another thing that came in too, is being able to hold space for the shadow, the shadow aspects of selves that we're able to see really clearly. That's what this conjunction showed me. It's like the sun was showing the moon shadow. The moon rules memory. So showing where our shadow has been playing itself out, not only as a collective, but as an individual Aries, right, for yourself. And one of the things that came up for me really strong, one of the wounds that I was healing, and maybe you guys can relate, especially if this is your Chiron return, which it is for me, my natally, my Chiron's in Aries. And I didn't realize one of the wounds that was playing itself out subconsciously that I was able to see so clearly, because I chose to see, okay, what subconscious programmings are playing themselves out in my life, in my relationships. We just came off of this Libra eclipse where there was a lot of endings in partnerships and old groups and relationships. And so there was still some of that energy to be seen really clearly if you chose to witness it, if you harness that in, which is what I chose to do, is to say, okay, where am I imbalanced within myself? Where am I imbalanced in my relationships? Where is there still an aspect of shadow that's still playing itself out? And one of the things that came up for me, and maybe again, you guys can relate, you can put in the comments if this is relative to you, is that, sometimes in partnerships, when somebody's having a bad day or they're just really quiet and you can tell that they're really in their headspace, for whatever reason, I thought it was about me. I'd always immediately go, oh, what did I do? What did I do to piss them off? Did I say something wrong? Did I Did I do something out of balance? I always brought it back to me, right? Which is a bit of a narcissistic sort of embodiment. And then there's an aspect of self that said, wait a minute, it's not always about you. They might just be having a bad day. Why does it have to be about you? Well, I'm realizing that was one of the subconscious wounds that I had to navigate through, thinking that somebody else's mood or whatever they were processing or going through somehow was related to me. And that's very much a Chiron and Aries wound that I didn't realize that was holding me back from fully showing up my authentic self, thinking that I was always, just by being myself, I was going to wound somebody, or I was going to injure somebody, or I was going to offend somebody just by me being there, right? Just by me being alive and being in their presence. And that's a great wound that I did not realize was playing itself out in my relationships, in my consciousness. Again, if it's in the unconscious or subconscious, it's not seen, right? It's below the surface. So that's what was rising for me to see through this eclipse energy, as to how that I've been imbibing with that womb, and how that's actually affected all of my interpersonal relationships, not feeling worthy of being around people because I had such an energetic field that I was creating imbalance. And again, I was able to pinpoint exactly where in childhood that happened, why it happened. I saw the who, what, when, where, how very clearly yesterday. And I was able to go, you know what, I'm going to alchemize this by, first of all, forgiving myself for thinking this way, which again tends to be a bit of a narcissistic viewpoint. And again, we all have a bit of narcissism somewhere. And this is okay to accept that and to know that, right? Because we're empathic, but we're all of it. Again, Livzen comes from the aspect that all is self. So if we're all of it, then we all have these shadows playing out to some varying degrees, which is why astrology studies degree points somewhere in our chart. And it's okay. It's okay to recognize this, to look at it, to alchemize it, to forgive it. Use the medicine of forgiveness to forgive yourself for not what you did, for not understanding your mechanism, or those wounds of the child that just want to be seen and heard and felt. And so this was coming in really strong, and using our relationships as, seeing the other as where that aspect of self is manifesting, and how balanced you are within relationships, partnerships. Again, they're a reflection of you. And if it triggers you, it's for you. If you're just able to be the witness and the observer, that means it's not for you. You're just watching a television show or a program playing itself out, like watching a Netflix movie. Sometimes you get really embedded with the characters, right? You can really identify with the characters playing themselves out. But this is a time to be very, because the sun was eclipsed by the moon, able to detach from that identity, that sense of self, and really just see how these cast of characters have been playing out for you in your own individuated life, and how you can redefine the characters, rescript yourself, rescript your own individuated self, and then rescript the person in your relationships who's coming in to show you these things. So this is something that came through really strong. And excuse me, I know there must be truth, because I feel my throat getting coagulated. All right. But one of the medicines that came through for me was revisiting the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the agreements of the four agreements, it's don't take it personally. It's not always about you, right? So if you see partners, people in your life, relationships, coworkers having a bad day, it's not about you. It's about what's going on in their journey. So how you decide to show up for them, knowing that it's not about you. First of all, tell yourself, it's not about me. And perhaps maybe the wound of Chiron and Aries, if that was showing up for you in that way, was making you hesitant or resistant to show up because you didn't want to create more imbalance, right? You didn't want to step over the line or be intrusive, or you maybe feel like you wanted to cower more in because somehow you blamed yourself for their imbalances. So part of the medicine, again, coming back to that book, is don't take it personally. Always do your best. Always speak clearly and concisely, and don't make assumptions. And so this came in really strong as the medicine to navigate this Chiron and Aries, because right now we all have Chiron and Aries, some where we've come to heal these wounds. And the medicine, it can be found in certain teachings, certain writings, certain wisdom showers like Don Miguel Ruiz, who comes from the Toltec culture of medicine, people who have been traversing these planes of relationships and cycles upon cycles of these energies that never stop. It's just another aspect or another way of showing up. These stories that we tell ourselves, we can tell it in a new way now. So I would invite you to check out the book if you haven't already studied it or checked it out. It's a game changer for just ways, value systems to embody, to navigate, to help heal these wounds of the child where you never felt worthy enough, you never felt worthy of being seen, that maybe your energy was too much. Where were you called that you were too much? You were told to hush up, or somehow you blamed yourself for somebody else's imbalance. That's what was coming up for me. And again, if you guys can relate, please, post in the comments if this was relative to you. And again, I have to read what I wrote down. So I was given a gift yesterday during this eclipse energy, which I found I was so grateful. And perhaps you can relate, or maybe you can receive this gift if it's offered just through this transmission. So for those of you that watched or used to Bugs Bunny, I used to watch Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian, the space modulator. And anyway, you guys can check that out. There's YouTube videos on, Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian. And one of the tools that I was given, I just saw that cartoon playing in my head, but one of the tools I was given was the space transmutator modulator. And I was like, space modulator, transmutator, what is that? What was that energy about? And then I saw myself being given this spacesuit. And it was this gold spacesuit that kind of was like of the Silver Surfer. It just embodied my whole vessel. And what it was able to do is that anybody that was sending any kind of negative energy my way in the form of jealousy, envy, competition, because again, these are all signifiers of Aries. And these were all aspects and energies that were preventing me, that I was perceiving, that were preventing me from showing off or showing up my authentic self, because I was scared of somebody else's jealousy or envy towards me. And that's a big wound of the feminine that I had to really face within myself, because I had created all kinds of imbalances in relationships where I was either jealous of the other or there was jealousy towards me. And that this was based on the competition model, right? Aries can be very competitive. And so because I have it in the 5th house, that was a lot of my sexual relationships, competing with men, right? Competing with men for love instead of just being an allowance. I always felt like I had to compete with the masculine some way. And so that was something that I really had to look at and sit with and again, forgive myself using the medicine of forgiveness. And maybe you can relate as men and women, sometimes we compete with one another for whatever reason, for love, for attention. Instead of just embodying and embracing and accepting one another and loving one another, there was this element of competition. And it was tied into envy and jealousy. And again, this was ley lines that I had also imbibed with from my own family, from the mothering wounds, from the females in my life, the females role models that I had witnessed. They were very alpha females. So there was that dominance of who's prettier, who's got the most money, who can gather more attention from men, from people, to be the center stage. All that was coming up for me to look at, to go, wow, I've been hiding myself because I didn't want to feel that energy of envy towards me. And I didn't want to feel that envy and jealousy towards my masculine or, other females in my life, any relationships. I just dislike that energy so much that I've actually been repressing my authentic nature so I wouldn't have to expose myself, right? Even being on the public stage like this, right? I didn't have to expose myself to any jealous tendencies or envious tendencies of others as I'm stepping into my gifts, as I'm stepping into this world stage. And that's because that's the wound that was in me that was projecting that. So I had to go and I had to forgive myself. And this beautiful, they called it it was the suit of armor, which of course is very Aries, right? It's the armor, the peaceful warrior. So I was given new armor, which actually what the armor does is that anybody that was sending any kind of maleficent energy towards me, any entity, being, anything that was coming towards me and coming from within out towards the other, this spacesuit was able to transmute it. So it was this golden energy of transmutation where it would transmute that energy and then it would return. So I would absorb the energy, transmute it within myself, transmute it into unconditional love, and then send it back out to the sender who was projecting these hate codes or these maleficent energies, and instead transmuting it into them and receiving unconditional love at some point in time and space in their lives. So this suit now, the suit of armor, the suit of peace, the suit of love is already on me, and it's imbibed with my skin. It's part of my DNA now. That's part of my remembrance of what I'm able to call in and curate within myself. Because I did some cards for myself yesterday, and again, part of the inward journey. And it says to access latent gifts or gifts that have been turned off or forgotten about. It's time to remember that you have these capacities, you have these gifts. So this might be coming online for you as well, as latent gifts that have been dormant or lying still, or now it's the time to activate it. So this is happening naturally anyway. We're traversing, we went hyperspeed into this new dimensional vortex of energy. And this is part of the activation through the soul, the solar plexus, through light, because as things get lighter, it heats things up and it moves things quicker. So as we're moving at warp speed, and again, I was watching things going very, 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 very fast around me. I was told how to navigate it and to be comfortable with this energy is to slow it down, to be very precise and slow, methodical with my movements, and allow these technologies that have been lying dormant within me to come back online. And this was one of the gifts I gave myself, is the ability to be this space modulator transmutator that would transmute negative energy from the other or myself, turn it in, spin it into unconditional love, and send it back out to the sender. And then surround that energy with the energy of gold so that it cannot be changed once that energy has been given. So it's funny, as I'm saying that, my dog is barking. All is safe, Tanner. It's all good. It's funny that just came in, right? So just having that awareness that I now have that protective sheath, that protective cloak, if you will, this armor of love, this ability to transmute quicker. And if I feel that imbalance, where I feel that coming online, feeling it from the other or feeling it from myself, that it's going to be caught quicker, that I can speak to it, that I can address it, and that the energy is already going to be doing that automatically. So that's something I wanted to share for you guys as well. It's part of what might be coming back online for you, are latent gifts that were not able to be accessed, or they were turned off until now, this time period when it's time to turn on the light, turn on the frequencies, turn on these gifts as we're moving to new states of consciousness, new parts of the cosmic energy field, right? So this is what's coming online really strong. This is also part of, let me see, going deeper, hyperdimensional. And let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to reflect on from yesterday. No, I feel complete in that sharing. But now I kind of want to get into the weekly share of what you can be possibly experiencing, a little bit of forecasting from now until next Tuesday. So today's 9, it's April 9th, which is it's a Mars number. So numerology is also reflective in the days, the days of the strong, which I don't want to call it week anymore because, again, spell casting. So days of the strong. So Mars rules Tuesdays, which are a 9-day, which today is a Tuesday and a 9-day, right? So there's a lot of current of energy of momentum that we can be anchoring in through our practices and through our personal power. Because Aries is the new identification, it's Mars, it's action. So taking very structured action, because on the 10th of April, we've got the moon right now in Taurus, which is also about anchoring in the body. It's about our values and money. And it's going to be transiting this week, or this strong, I should say, practice the language, this strong. It's going to be transiting to, and then going into Thursday, Friday into Gemini, and then over the weekend into Cancer, and then finally going into Leo by next Tuesday, right? So these are the configurations and the way the moon cycles are going to be activating these parts of your chart. So again, you want to check to see not only where Aries was, but where Taurus and Gemini and Cancer and Leo, because this is where this energy of current is moving. And then we have an amazing conjunction happening next week on the 20th, next strong, April 20th, with Jupiter and Uranus. And we'll talk more about that on next week's podcast. But this week, the point and focus is, okay, there has been an initiation, because Aries is also about the initiate, right? Starting something new, a new cycle. Again, we're traversing, we just went hyperdimensional, warp speed, but you don't want to warp the body, right? So you got to slow down. This is where we sort of resolve polarity and division and dichotomy, this dichotomy of this plane of existence, where when something happens one way, to balance it out, you've got to do it the opposite way to keep it in balance, right? So as we are speeding up energetically through our solar plexus, through more light that's coming into our bodies, it's time to slow down, especially with the retrograde, because Mars is still in retrograde. Mercury, which is our mind, how we communicate, is in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, and it's having us redo, restructure, reorganize who we are, who we're showing up as, who we are becoming, who are we resonating with now in this now time moment, after having looked at our relationship patterns, our relationship dynamics, relationship with self and the other. Now there's a new ID or identification that's forming. And so the moon that's going to be transiting through Taurus and Gemini and Cancer and Leo is asking us to step into those frequencies of grounding, Earth, Taurus, air, which is communication, Gemini. So look to those days when the moon's going to be in Gemini, which is going to be today's Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday. So part of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Look for Cancer, which is more about being secure and of the home, that's water. And then finally going into Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be fire. It's going to be Leo, which is a fire element. So being able to work with the elementals during this time, knowing the frequencies, knowing how this generative principle of the moon and the sun is asking you to work with the elementals in a more harmonious way within the body. Because again, we got Jupiter and Taurus. It's going to be conjunct on 420 Uranus. Uranus is the nervous system. So this is something else that came in really strong too, was the more that you can be relaxed and harmonized within your nervous system, the more these electrical energies of currents can come in and be very powerful. It's like turning on a power grid within the body. But you have to make sure that your nervous system is completely relaxed. And we can do that relaxation through the breath, through grounding, specifically through the breath, and through moving the energy in certain ways. So working with certain practices when you're working with, I love yoga, I love Tai Chi now. Tai Chi is a very precise movement, again, asking the body to slow down because we're at warp speed right now. This is that paradigm, polarity that we're in. As we're all speeding up, we're asked individually to slow down, even to slow down the way we speak, being able to hold your language and speak if you feel charged or you feel activated, because this is also what's coming online. Things are moving quicker. So there's this sense of agitation energy that might be presenting itself, especially if you're healing wounds of old partnerships and relationships and you're seeing those patterns still playing themselves out. It's good to, again, put your hand on your heart and to recognize this is happening for me. I'm changing patterns, I'm changing dynamics, I'm changing these currents of energy within me. So I've got to do the work to allow more of this current in, which means to go ground, to move your body, to move slowly. So breathe slowly, full belly breath is what's called for, what I've been told to work with, and to also work with the pose of child's pose in yoga. And you can look this up on YouTube for those that are maybe starting to get into your yoga practice. Child's pose is a surrender pose. And again, Aries is about the child. We're healing the wounds of the child. We're also coming to learn the North Node in Aries. So we're coming to learn these techniques. And so what I'm hearing is the most stable nervous system wins, because Aries, again, likes to compete and likes to be the winner, right? So it's not about competing with the other, but it's about competing with who you were yesterday, who you were even just a few moments ago, staying very present in the now and being very focused on where it is you want to go. So think of it like a navigation point. We are hyper-dimensional warp speeding to a part of the cosmos. And where you land, where you end up, which Earth planet, which version of Earth you end up at is going to be based on your vibration, your frequency, how you're vibing, and how you're emitting the energy. And again, emit is time spelled backwards. So make sure to take the time, taking more time for yourself to be more precise with your energy, using your breath, using the grounding, using very small, methodic, slow movements. I was also told yesterday to work with the water element too, to harmonize the energy. This is structured water. This is also, we have this conjunction of Saturn and Mars in Pisces exact on April 10th. So this is bringing in a level of, again, Mars and Aries is very fiery. So to balance out that fiery energy, you're going to want to bring in and work with the element of water and specific structured water. So humming to your water, putting your, I don't have my glass of water near me, but if you just take your glass of water and you hum it next to your heart, just hum before you consume it or imbibe with it, it's actually creating cymatics in the water, which is cymatically harmonizing the water, and then you drink it. You can put some sea salt on it because that's what also allows the electrical charge of the water to go into the body, into the molecules of the body. I would really recommend you studying your own vessel and your own body, how the body works, and tune into your own gnosis of what works for you. And you might be led to new teachers and new way showers as we're getting also new information. This is Pluto and Aquarius about how to navigate the body, that maybe there are, how we've been told the body works is now being upgraded. Even our food supplies, our food sources, this is all Taurus, right? All the senses of Taurus, everything's being upgraded. So really be diligent about what it is you're consuming as far as your food, you know, harmonizing your water, using cymatics with your water, grounding in the energy, just putting your bare feet on the earth, taking these full belly breaths with the body, going into child's pose or some form of Tai Chi or yoga that's slowing down the nervous system. Again, right now, you want that nervous system to be as robust and calm and stable as possible. It's about stabilizing the energy because we just went through this whole vortex of energy that, again, we've never been to before. So we are the spaceship, we are the vessel that's traversing these planes. Now there's again, if you go back and if you want to use that suit of armor that I was gifted, that I wanted to share with you, that you can imbibe with that if you believe it to be true, that you have the ability to transmute energy that's being projected at you in a negative way, or that you're projecting outward towards the other in a negative way. You can use that transmutation energy and then surround it with gold so that it can't be changed into anything else. That will stay that steadfast, pure. This is a purification time, right? This is the part of alchemy. This is the part where we are alchemizing and turning, being more purified in the essence of who we are. So this is the purification process. And through Mars and through Aries and through fire, we're being birthed at the fire. If you look at the stages of alchemy, there's this the part of alchemy called calcification. So this is that calcification process that's burning away or melting away all that's impure, that needs to be dissolved so that it can make us our more pure, vibrant aspects of self that are emerging, this new ID, this new identification form that we're showing to ourselves and to the world. So you might even notice you start wearing your hair different, or wearing your makeup different, or you're being even called to wear different kinds of clothing, and being very precise, right? Where is the clothes coming from? I don't know about you, but since I've been on this quest for purifying my body, I am so sensitive to I can even energetically pick up, guys, if I go to a restaurant and somebody made the food that was having a stressful day, I could taste the stress on the food. So while the food itself may be delicious, I'll end up with an upset stomach going, what's going on with my belly? Why am I seeing these visions of these people stressed out and just throwing food around? And I realize, oh, wow, I can read the energy of the people that have prepared my food. So again, this is asking for us to be very precise on even the restaurants you go to, right? Only give that current to the beings that you see that are happily preparing your meal. Make sure you're harmonized and balanced before you prepare your own meal, right? These are just points of awareness to see, like, wow, because our new technology is coming online and new gifts are being remembered of who we are. And so all the clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, all the clairs, right? The ability to just know things, to feel things, to sense things, to hear things, like to hear words, languages, to see images come into your field. This is all coming back online. We're starting to remember that we have these gifts, these deeply psychic gifts, Aries, the head. There's been a clarity of mind that has been activated. This corpus callosum, where it's been imbalanced, this bridge has been offline now. There's this new field of energy that's bringing clarity. So you're maybe starting to pick up energetically on not only your own energy fields, but other people's energies. Like I said, they show up in your food. So even now I have to be very precise on like where I get my food, right? And before I go to the grocery store, I'm shopping only local. I'm shopping that are things that are organic, because again, where we spend our current, this is Jupiter and Taurus, right? These are our values. We've got to focus in on what we value. And now there's an energetic reason for it, because now it's tied to energy and wellness. And for harmony in the body and your nervous system, you don't want to be thrown off balance by somebody else's current unknowingly, because you didn't know how it worked. You didn't know that we are so intimately tied through cosmology, through these entanglements together. So blessing your food, not be less. Honoring, bringing fortitude, bringing, gratitude to your food before you imbibe with it. Humming your water. These are just tools and techniques you can be using, that I've been using, that I've had to use, because otherwise I'm such an empath. I feel somebody else's stuff that they put it on my food. And it's pretty astounding to see how much we can be connected to these frequencies if we allow ourselves to know, no, you're not out of balance. No, you're not going crazy, that this is a real thing. And there's lots of us that are having these skill sets come back online for us. Remembering, again, this is retrograde, remembering, restoring, rejuvenating, repairing. These are all the re's, right? Anything to do with the retrograde is to redo, restructure. So this is what's happening too within our cranium, within our brain, within our nervous system, our electrical currents, our masculine, which again is not gender, it's based on frequency. So it's our electricity. We're bioelectrical beings. So our electrical current, we're getting more, our synapses are starting to grow together in a new way. And we're starting to see and perceive things in a new way. So coming up on this upcoming strong, not weak, again, using the language, this is a way to strengthen, to fortify, to unite and harmonize your nervous system, your body, your electrical currents, and your relationships. This is all coming up to be looked at and to felt. And while the moon's in transit, again, through Taurus and Gemini and Cancer, and then finally on the 16th through Leo, work with those elementals, harmonize your energy, set some goals for yourself, because Aries is all about taking action and initiation. It's a cardinal, so it's beginning something new. So just organically, while I was in meditation, I was writing down all these fun, creative ways I wanted to be of service, that I wanted to share my energy. And the goal wasn't the money. The goal was the creativity itself. And this is another thing that had to be repaired within my own vessel, is that I'm not allowed to move my energy just to chase money. That actually creates an imbalance within my electrical currents, within my nervous system. That was the deep wounds of my value system and my relationship to money. So I'm no longer allowed to chase money at all. I had to step into the knowing that I am here to be a creator, and that my creations will generate current, more than enough current, to support all the things that I want to experience. And that's how I have to go about creation now. It's not the other way around. That's been the inversion that's been harmonized and rectified within myself. This is Aries. This, again, my Aries return in Chiron, 5th house, is that I need to create for creation's sake, and for of service, and to be in community, and for it to be fun, and for it to be harmonizing. And on the other side of those creations, the money will just appear. The current will just be magnetized to me effortlessly. And so I'm going to play with these new awarenesses within myself, these new tools. So this is what was coming through really strong yesterday, is writing down all the fun things that I'd like to experience and do with other people, community. Again, this is Aquarius, this is group. How do I want to be in group? How do I want to create for the group? How do I want to share astrology more? How do I want to build a garden? Again, these are things that are looking at your values now, because this is Jupiter in Aquarius, all in Taurus. What do you value? Do more of that. Spend your currency on what you truly value, not out of habit or just because you're used to going to this grocery store and you have to write a checklist, like I got to get this for the grocery, I got to get that. Like, break those pattern, disrupt that. Say, no, wait a minute. Okay, I know I need to go shopping for the family, but can I go to a different grocery store? I need to see where the grocery stores source their food. Where do they get their food from? Do they, buying local, right? Going to farmers markets, get more local into your community. This is what's being asked for right now, is this whole reparative, restorative, regenerative aspect of humanity is asking for more grassroots, more grounded, and more local commerce within our communities, because that's what's going to help us gather our resources together, being with like-minded, like-hearted people, as we're going through these dissolving of old governing systems. These old governing archetypes are collapsing because they have to, because they're no longer sustainable. But what is sustainable is what's going on in your local communities, what's going on in your local farmers market. Get very active with the people that are around you. It's time for us to come out of our shells and to be in community, but make sure you take care of yourself first. Know the difference between your energy field and someone else's, and just stay in your own lane, but also be with the other. This is the dance that we're having to navigate through of polarity consciousness, and through this unification of togetherness and separate, right? This is how we're going to, this is how I am seeing that I choose to navigate it. And I just wanted to offer and express just a way to contemplate the energies and see if any of this aligns for you. And you're more than welcome to use any of these tools. And again, you're more than welcome to reach out to livzenastrology for any techniques, offerings, perceptions, ways of navigating your own individuated birth chart, so that we can all move through this field, this hyperdimensional space that we're traveling through still right now. We're still in this eclipse momentum, especially going through this full moon in Scorpio, which will be happening on the 24th. And we'll talk more about that later, but just giving you some insights and some reflections on how to navigate these currents. Again, thank you so much for joining the channel. And if you're a vibrational match, again, you want to reach out to livzenastrology for any support and any navigation points. And also check out Livzenastrology Explorers. This is my own community page. It's a private page of community members where weekly we're going to be going into more topics. We're going to be deep diving into the first topic that wants to be brought up and looked at and shared is Chiron and Aries, and how we can intimately look at our charts and see where the wounds have been in our own individuated charts, what the medicine possibly could be. And then we're going to help each other look at each other's charts and navigate some points of tools and our own sharing our own stories. It's an offering to help us all move through these energies together in community. So check out Livzenastrology Explorers if you'd like to be part of that group. Again, it's a private group, but this is something I'm offering for my community. And yeah, I'm really excited about these new connections that are being formed right now, real time, grassroots, with like-minded, like-hearted folks who are just ready to do something different, and using the tool of astrology and the language of astrology is a very neutral tool to help you stay in that center lane and not be so polarized into the energy that we're witnessing real time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening in this now moment. I'm so grateful to be able to share this energy, and much love to you guys. Thanks for connecting. All right, blessings.